Well, when it comes to theme parks, we've seen over the years many times trees and natural shading and different nature elements are taken out of parks to be replaced with other things they put in there, usually concrete, to make way for different things they want to add to the parks. And as time has gone on, if you look at, say, Magic Kingdom 20, 30 years ago versus today, one of the things that sticks out is there were way more trees and more shade in the park, and really, begs to ask the question, a theme park, does it involve having an actual park? And again, as we look at that compared to Epic Universe and the things they've said from the beginning, which is they want to bring the park back into theme parks, and they're actively working to create a park-like feel to many parts of Epic Universe, which I think is a very welcome thing, especially given that they're in the Florida sun and shade and just a nice place to relax and enjoy some ambiance, which is much different compared to, say, Magic Kingdom yet again, because they're actively getting rid of some of their areas where you would say their ambiance. So it's a trend that people have noticed, and something that, you may not notice if you weren't around the parks a long time, but once you point it out, you really start taking notice of it, and you realize most theme parks are concrete jungles. Well, interestingly enough, The Diz has an article here saying, is Disney taking the park out of theme park? And I thought this would be an interesting article to read through and give some thoughts on. So that's what we're going to do here. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic. And again, this is from The Diz. And is Disney taking the park out of theme park? It says the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World was once an elevated version of Walt Disney's original creation, Disneyland, with a larger castle, impressive utilidor system, and massive lagoon in front of the park. We could argue some of the rides weren't quite up to the same level, but that is a discussion for another day. What's crucial is to remember that despite these differences, the Magic Kingdom's original design did not stray from the essence of what we consider a park. Think about the simplicity of a local park to the grandeur of Central Park in New York City. Like them, the Magic Kingdom had more than just themed experiences. It was a place of natural beauty with trees, flowers, ponds, and incredible landscaping that invited visitors to relax and enjoy their surroundings. Over the years, the Magic Kingdom has gradually lost some of its traditional park-like atmosphere. The removal of trees in the hub, the filling in much of the Swan Boat Lagoon, the elimination of the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Lagoon, and the extensive paving over the hub and removal of the Plaza Rose Garden are just a few examples of this transformation. While some of these changes are necessary for various reasons, others might have been less justified. Together, they highlight the classic park elements that have been slowly stripped away. I mean, it's a very good point, and if you look at, I think the main reason, or one of the reasons they do this, is trees and water. It costs money to upkeep them. You have to, constantly give them attention. You have to, pay people to do this. And if you pave over it, if you don't have these areas, like we've seen many times throughout the Disney parks of getting rid of fountains, for instance, it's going to save you money and they don't have to deal with it as much. And also, too, on some level as well, they want to expand any available space they can many times to just try and put more rides in and things like that. So I think a lot of it is more than likely just them not wanting to deal with the maintenance and upkeep of it, because more than likely, you talk about the people that created Magic Kingdom and the people that currently maintain it today. I don't think you're talking about the same group of people in terms of the vision that they have for it. I think today it's much more of just a straight bottom line business decision, and you're not talking about a greater vision for what you want the park to be or what kind of ambiance you want it to be. It's just simply about getting as many people as you can, getting more rides to get people in there, and getting as much money as you can. And I really think that's a major difference in the way that Disney is run today versus years ago, whenever I think a lot more things were just, given, I guess you could just say, care about how this would, go into the future, the sort of like, how does this make people feel situation. I think that's much less of things that they worry about today. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of beautiful park-like elements in the Magic Kingdom today. The iconic Mickey floral garden in front of the train station remains a charming welcome for guests, and the majestic Liberty Tree continues to be a proud centerpiece of Liberty Square and the Rivers of America. Oh wait, we'll have to scratch that one too, as it's stated to be paved over for 2 new Cars attractions. While these new Cars attractions will likely be fantastic, we'll see. I'm not saying they won't be good. I have questions about putting Cars in general for the IP in which it's at right now, considering its age and popularity, and not to mention a Cars-based attraction being in Frontierland, but we won't talk about that right now. They come at the cost of the park's few remaining natural elements. The list of true park-like features is becoming shorter and shorter. And from things that I've heard as well, one of the reasons that they want to get rid of the rivers of America is because that does require upkeep and maintenance, and the rivers, from what I've heard, again, they do need some work done to them, and Disney doesn't want to basically put the money in to fix those because they don't view it as something that really makes the company money versus a new attraction that would bring people in. And I think on some levels, that's one reason why they're doing that. It's just because it's a waterway that, and again, maintaining water is expensive, and they just don't want to put the money into it. So they're just going to probably more than likely pave it over and put in some more, attractions in that land. Small pathways, natural elements, and cute detailed designs are being eliminated to make way for a park that needs to host millions of guests per year. They need a higher capacity than they did in 1971, but it's a shame to see it slowly eroding away. That being said, this entire argument takes a different turn when we look at Epcot. Although they have taken way too long to complete, the trees and landscaping in World Celebration align far more closely with the characteristics of a traditional park. The recent enhancements include a wealth of trees, benches, and tables where families can gather and relax. It says, yes, we lost the iconic Fountain of Nations, but in its place, the area has become significantly more lush and shaded than ever before. The Fountain of Nations was such a cool aspect. I think they replaced a water feature with a garden feature because compared to a water feature, a garden feature is cheaper. That would probably be my guess. But I still think that getting rid of the Fountain of Nations was a big mistake. I think that brought such a cool element and ambiance to that park that I really do feel like is missing now. Epcot has also made impressive strides in front of Spaceship Earth. The removal of the old legacy stones has paved the way for stunning gardens and beautiful topiaries, creating a more welcoming and serene atmosphere. Additionally, we cannot overlook the incredible landscaping featured in the annual Flower and Garden Festival, which showcases an array of vibrant floral displays and artistic topiaries, transforming the park into a visual feast each spring. So is Disney taking the park out of the theme park? It's difficult to say. While you can certainly make the case at Magic Kingdom, it's a different story at the other parks, especially Epcot. The commitment to landscaping and natural beauty is evident there, not to mention the stunning environments at Disney's Animal Kingdom and, of course, Disneyland. These parks continue to celebrate and integrate nature into their designs, proving that the essence of a traditional park can still thrive within the broader theme park experience. I feel like the headline doesn't really match the article. I mean, I guess they're technically asking the question. Epcot definitely has park-like features to it. I will say that, but I think taking out the Fountain of Nations was a mistake. I think the entire redo of Epcot has been completely underwhelming, and I think most people would say, I don't think you can argue that Epcot is in a much better place than it was, say, 10 years ago with the things that they did, and especially when you look at the things they said they were going to do. But Epcot does have a lot of park features. Now, when you look at Magic Kingdom, obviously that is the most popular park for Disney and in the entire world. And then you look at the things they've taken away. I do think a lot of it, again, is cutting costs on some levels, but also just trying to create more things to get more people in there to increase capacity, when I think, it does sacrifice what the original vision of the park is. And this is the thing I guess this is a small thing in the greater vision, I would say, with what I think Disney has been doing, which is things are not done in terms of, they'll give it lip service. They'll say, Bob Iger always asks, what would Walt do? I don't believe that. I don't think Bob Iger sits there and really thinks about what would Walt do, because it doesn't really line up with the things that they're doing as a company. But I think that that's what happens whenever you don't have a greater vision and really, how do we want people to feel when they're coming to the parks? How do they want people to interact with these areas? I think they do, again, on some levels with the Imagineering and certain rides and features. I'm not saying they don't do it at all, but I think as an overall theme of a park, I think they basically I would be surprised if they even discuss that when in terms of creating new things. I think a lot of it is just create new things, increase capacity so they can make more money. And I think at the bottom line, it's just about them making more money. I will say, I guess this would be an argument for it. And I've said for a while, I don't think Disney needs to build a fifth gate, because there's things that they can add in their existing parks that can help increase capacity and really flush out those parks. But this is a good argument at increasing your capacity, offering more things for people to do on your property. If, Magic Kingdom's your most popular park, if you had other things, you wouldn't have to cram or try and cram as much stuff as you could into Magic Kingdom. But if you do want to expand Magic Kingdom, which was my argument when you're talking about the Rivers of America, which is don't just replace things with something new, like build out, which is kind of what they're doing with villains. But this is what I would say they should probably do with cars as well. And I think when you look at it too, just again, compared to say what Epic Universe is doing, they're really going out of their way. And if you look at the construction photos of that and the construction updates we do, there's so many trees there. And when you're in Florida and you're in the parks, when it's hot, those trees are nice. And there's lots of areas of Epic Universe where the queue is completely covered with trees. And then you give that, 2-3 years, what that park's going to look like with all those trees and all that greenery. And not to mention the ambiance and just the way it makes you feel. Like, people, not to get esoteric, but people do like a connection with nature. It makes people feel more calm and at ease. And you can make an argument on some level. We've seen more aggression from people in theme parks with fights and other things like that. And again, I'm not saying that this is the reason for it, but I do think if you had more nature elements of something, maybe, there have been studies that have shown that if you see trees, it has a calming effect on people. I think it does create more of a park-like feel, which I do enjoy. So it's a balance with having that feel, having new attractions. It's not something I think is a, specific ratio necessarily. But I do think if you look as time has gone on, and people that have been going to Disney for a long time have talked about the fact that a lot of the trees are gone. It looks so much different than it did many, many years ago. And then, you're dealing with the heat. If you're in that hub in the middle of like July or August, it is rough in the middle of the day. So, having trees and things like that when you're looking, say, over at Epic Universe, I think that's, the trees and that is not going to make Epic Universe successful, but it's a great feature to something. So I think if you have the other elements of a theme park that are great and you have these trees and this nature feel, I do think it adds a lot to the park on top of everything else that a park has to offer here. So in terms of is Disney taking the park out of theme park, I think they've been doing it slowly. It's more of a gradual thing. Again, go look at a picture of Main Street from 30 years ago and then look at it today. You will just notice the vast difference in trees and things like that. So while it may be going away at Magic Kingdom, like I said, there are elements at Epcot that are, that have the park-like elements as well. And I am curious, when Epic Universe opens, and we can only assume how it's going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be a successful theme park. And if a lot of people come away really thinking how great it is with all the greenery and the trees that they have in these ambiance areas, I do wonder if Disney ends up doing something if they notice enough people like it, if they react to this and then try and maybe put some of these things back in. But on the same time, too, I don't know if they feel they need to, and they may not really put the two together. That's really what some people want out of a theme park as well. But either way, to answer the question, yeah, I think a little bit for sure. I think it's gradual, and we'll probably continue to see it as it seems like that's how things have been going, at least on that front. But I suppose if you do like more greenery and trees and more park-like feel in a theme park, again, for other reasons as well, I think you could probably look forward to Epic Universe because it seems like that is going to have a lot of it when it does open in 2025. But that is going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, do you think that Disney is taking the park out of theme park? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.